So when you introduce yourself, so the way that you introduce and talk about yourself at a career fair is going to be different than how you'd respond to the tell me about yourself interview question. It's really consider your audience, consider kind of why you're talking to them, what they want to know about you and how they might be able to help you, and then choose the information that might be most appropriate. You probably want to introduce yourself. And then what you are working on or what you've been working on. This is basically, instead of kind of listing, these are the skills I have, you're putting that in context. So you're choosing something that you can briefly talk about to kind of illustrate, these are the types of skills and knowledge that I have. You're communicating some excitement and some passion about that area. And then depending on the situation, you might talk about what you're looking for. If you are pretty open, you can indicate that, but it's always good to start with some specifics to give people something to start thinking about to help you. So it really helps you be memorable if you can talk about something that kind of sets you apart. And so just kind of something that, you know, maybe not everybody is going to say, and it doesn't have to be relevant to the job, as long as it's communicating something that's probably valuable in the workplace in a general sense. But at the same time, be conscious of when you're sharing that kind of memorable thing that's not relevant, what is it communicating about you? And hopefully it's something positive. So in an interview, oftentimes the first question is, tell me a little bit about yourself. It's such a broad question that it's a little bit of your opportunity to kind of guide where you want the interview to go. So tell me about yourself is not where you grew up. It's not your life history. But what they're really asking is, you know, how are you qualified for this job? What experiences have you had? How have you used the skills that we're looking for? When you're contacting someone or you're meeting with someone to network, you want to give a little bit of that background like we've talked about here. The thing that they're probably wanting to hear from you is, what are you looking for from them? How can they help? When you say, tell them what you want from them, it's not necessarily, can you get me a job at your company? But it might be, you know, I'd love to learn more about the culture of this company. You want to do a little bit of research on who you're talking to so that when you talk about what you're looking for, you're hopefully talking about something that they can help you with. Career Services, we've started offering the Gallup Clifton Strengths Assessment. It identifies your top 5 strengths. You take this assessment, you learn some kind of specific things, and then we help you learn about how do you actually use what the assessment tells you in a way that'll help you to get a job or to understand others. Like there's lots of different applications. But you can go to Career Services website, careers.byu.edu, and I think it's on the homepage where it's Gallup Clifton Strengths Assessment. This is all on the Career Services website. So we do have resume templates. I think at different points on the website, there are different sample resumes. And then VMOC is a kind of a new resource that we have. And what this program does is it will like scan your resume and give you lots of suggestions. So you can upload your resume to that and kind of get some feedback. And then if there's any of the feedback that you don't really understand or it seems kind of counterintuitive, just make an appointment either with the career mentors who are our students or our student employees, or the career directors who are our full-time people. And we can go over the feedback with you and kind of help you decide, you know, should I actually implement this feedback, or in this case, should I disregard it? So everything that I'm going to say about resumes, there's somebody that's going to say the complete opposite. So again, consider your audience. The vast majority are spending less than a minute, even less than 30 seconds looking at your resume. The format, the way that it's set up and organized is really important, because if it is kind of a jumbled mess, or if it looks a lot different than what they are used to seeing, they're going to spend more time looking for things rather than actually focused on the content of your resume. Well, you don't want to have a picture on it. In the US, they don't like that because that can open recruiters up to discrimination. So don't put your picture on it. Color and like an interesting format with like sidebars or graphics. For most recruiters, that doesn't matter too much. It's not really about being different in your format of your resume. It's about being different with the content of your resume. So for the vast majority of people hiring for interns or recent grads, they want your resume to just be one page. So your name should be at the top, contact information, at the very least your email address and your phone number. If you want to do like a LinkedIn profile link, or if you have another online profile link instead of your physical address, that's fine too. Some employers still like the address, some don't really care. Most of the time as a new grad, your degree is probably your strongest qualification. So you want to put that first. If you're leaning toward, oftentimes they like the section to come right after education. If you're not leaning toward a technical career, it's more common to have skills at the bottom. So soft skills like critical thinking, communicating well, leadership, those are absolutely important, but you wouldn't necessarily list those out in a skills section. Those would come up more in the experience section. Where the basic idea is you want your resume to read like the profession that you're going into. You want to think about what are the experiences that you've had in that field, whether or not they're paid. And then you're going to add the dates. And so within each section, it should be reversed chronological. The date that they're most interested in for your education section is your graduation date. So even if you haven't graduated yet, that's totally fine. Just put in, August 2021 or whenever it is you think you're going to graduate. Most employers want to see your GPA. So if it's a 3.0 or above, put it on your resume. Relevant coursework, and only leave on the things that are most relevant. Sometimes people are a little hesitant to list a skill because they think, well, I'm not really that good at it. Should I put it on my resume? And what I've heard time and time again from recruiters is anything on your resume is fair game for an interview. So you kind of want to do the balance between, don't just list everything that you've kind of just heard of, but at the same time, don't hold yourself to such a high standard that you're not putting on things that you probably could use with a little bit of practice or a little bit of coaching. Describing your experience in the bullet points. This is where most people could use the most improvement. You're not writing in like English class sentences. You want to write in bullet points. You don't want big chunks of text because big chunks of text don't get read. You want to try to start out your bullet points with action verbs. If it's an experience that has already finished, you put them in past tense. If it's an ongoing experience that you're still doing, it's a simple present. One way to really make your bullet points stronger is to quantify. So anytime you can put something in a number, a dollar amount, percent increase, frequency, that always helps to make your bullet points a little bit more specific and more impactful. You really want your bullet points to sound more like accomplishment statements rather than just a listing of duties. That first one, grading papers, assisting in test preparation, that is what you're doing, but that doesn't sound super impactful. So you can see that revised one, evaluated and graded assignments for more than 25 students while monitoring class grades. That's kind of more of this is what you contributed. Go through your resume, take a look at your bullets, and give each one a grade. C is just kind of a listing of responsibilities. A B grade bullet point is when you're really incorporating the specifics and more importantly, the results of what you've done. And then ideally, you will be able to take some of your B statements and make them A statements. But here's what the A statement is. It's really kind of trying to say, here's how my work kind of went above and beyond. In your bullet points, you're trying to communicate how are you qualified, what skills do you have, and then what evidence is there that you have those skills, right? So a mission is absolutely appropriate to put on your resume. So your goal in putting a mission on your resume is not to describe exactly what you did as a missionary, but it's to talk about kind of those same skills. How did you demonstrate leadership? How did you demonstrate critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork? The main thing about cover letters is first, try to find out whether or not you need to write one. Basically what you're trying to do when you write a cover letter is communicate why you're interested in the job and how you're qualified for it. And then the second thing is like why you're interested in the job.